sing with us. Everybody do it. Let's go. We're gonna turn the world upside down. We're gonna turn these people right side up. We're gonna shout until we're 6 feet over. We're gonna demonstrate something unusual. Come on. Something unusual. Trump shall become a trumpet, says the Lord. Be a praying president, not a religious one, for I will fool the people, says the Lord. God says, I will put at your helm for 2 terms a president that will pray, but he will not be a praying president when he starts. I will put him in office, and then I will baptize him with the Holy Spirit and my power, says the Lord. The Spirit of the Lord says there shall be one assassination attempt that shall endeavor to destroy the plans that I have for this nation. Look to your vice president. But California, I'm looking at you. Goldstone, California. God says, once you recognize the man that I have raised up, pray, for the enemy will do everything in his power to put a witch in the White House. Hear me. I have found a man after my own heart, and he is amongst you. He is one of the brothers but singled out for presidency of the United States of America. Strange July, hypnotic November, and oh Christmas, where winter shall say, and me, I will make them happy. My will shall be done. And in the fall will show you whom I have chosen to pray for and guide this nation. You shall rejoice, for it is my man. It is my chosen David, says the Lord, the Lord, the Lord, the Lord, the Lord, the Lord.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Code Breakers Live. As you can see, my sister cut my hair. It's looking a little darker. Happy Father's Day to all the dads. I see you guys in the chat here, and everybody's saying Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to my husband, John, who is the father of my beautiful children. And I did put a post up on my X page. So those of you who follow me on X, you would have already seen that. I put a few pictures up there. I had such a hard time getting those pictures, getting it to add more than 3. I don't even know. Sometimes I just don't know what I'm doing on the social medias. But happy Father's Day to everybody. I do feel a bit sad on this day because I used to love Father's Day. I used to love getting my dad a gift and doing something, having dinner. The family would get together and have dinner. And so it is bittersweet today, but I put all of my energy rather towards my husband now, and we're going to have a lovely time later on with him celebrating Father's Day. And I've got something else to tell you guys. I am seeing all of your comments here. I'll get to that in a second. I have had a crazy week. And I'll tell you what happened to me. So, was it Monday? I believe it was Monday. Monday night, I got a terrible fever out of nowhere. Shivering, fever. I had to take medication to bring the fever down. And then I seemed like I was okay. And then by Thursday morning, this is so insane. By Thursday morning, I woke up and all of my joints hurt. Every single one. My hands were swollen for one, and I had to take all of my just now before I came over here, put my rings back on now. These would normally be on this finger, and I still can't fit them. So my hands are still a little bit swollen. My hands were swollen and all of my joints hurt. And I thought, what is going on with me? I couldn't move. It got so bad by the end of the day on Thursday that I couldn't stand up properly. I could not walk properly. Every one of my joints was swollen and hurt. It felt like if you've been in a car accident or you've fallen, that kind of pulled muscle feeling, but it wasn't in any of my muscles. It was in my joints and it hurt. And I couldn't, my hips, my knees, my ankles, every one of my fingers, my wrists, my elbows, my shoulders, my neck, it was all. And I thought, what is this? And I go and look out online. It's like arthritis, gout. I don't have any of those things. Autoimmune disease. Don't have any of those. And I could not think of what was going on with me. So by Friday, by the next day, it still was this way. I didn't even know what to think. And so I went to the doctor, which I don't do a lot. I only go to the doctor when I have to, because especially since COVID, my trust in that whole system has fallen apart. And so I went to the urgent care and told them, and they were also kind of scratching their head, like, what could it be? The only thing we could think of was a tick bite. And so they took blood and everything, and they're testing all the stuff that they do. They checked me out, my heart, my lungs, all the stuff. I was fine, except for this swelling. I did get kind of a heaviness in my head. Kept getting tired. No flu symptoms. They tested me for flu. I had no flu, COVID, or whatever. None of that. And you don't just get arthritis overnight. I mean, you don't just wake up one morning with extreme arthritis in all of your joints. But I felt like an old lady, and my little boy, my son, and he's autistic, so the way he sort of perceives things and talks to me is in his own little way. And he kept saying, "Mommy, are you old?" Because I was literally, I couldn't walk. And so the doctor gave me a prescription of an antibiotic that covers a bunch of different tick bite diseases that you can get. And I started taking the antibiotic and have taken a few doses of it. And by today, I'm much better. I'm still a little stiff, but I'm much better. And so it looks like, I'm seeing someone say beat it naturally. I would prefer to. I thought I was dying. I'm like, I thought something was terribly wrong. Well, it was, but it wasn't. I've never had anything like this. It was so crazy, and didn't have a tick. I did tick checks. We do it all the time. I had not noticed a tick, but this morning on my big toe, I remembered for like over a week, I thought it was a mosquito bite on my toe, and it was just right under the cuticle on my big toe. And it was really bothering me, and I just kept thinking it was just because the skin's so soft there and it's right by your cuticle. I didn't even think about it. But when I looked at my toe last night, there's a big red mark there now. And it's not Lyme. It's not Lyme. Uh, there's many, many different diseases you can get from different ticks. So I don't think it's well, I mean, we may. I don't know. I'm waiting for blood work. So I'll keep you guys updated. But just so you know, I have had only this morning did I finally start feeling better. I was like, I am going to have to hobble in to do Code Breakers Live, which I could do. It's fine because I could talk fine. I didn't feel sick. I just was very uncomfortable. Friday night, or sorry, was it Friday night? Yeah, Friday night and last night. By the end of the day, my feet were so swollen. I was having to elevate my feet. But then finally, after I started taking the antibiotic, um, it was as soon as the medication started hitting my system, I started feeling better. So Maybe a spider bite. It doesn't look like a spider bite though. I can see it on my toe. What I thought was, and we have. I'm in Tennessee, and so you can't walk out in the woods here without getting covered in ticks. I'm pulling them off of the animals and the children and my husband all the time. And it's very possible. I wear these little boot slippers, and I kind of leave them outside on the patio often. It's possible that a tick could have gotten into my shoe since it was on my toe. But yeah, be careful of ticks. It appears that, look, if it's something else, I'll let you guys know because I haven't got test results back yet, so we'll see. But what a week, and I just feel like, even Lou, we were saying this is like an attack. There's so many things going on. So anyway, I'm going to say hi to some of you guys in the chat here. Tick bites are dangerous. Husband almost died twice. You would never think a tick is such a small little thing. I have never experienced anything like this. Rocky Mountain spotted fever tick bite. See, there's a bunch of, now this is something I did learn when we moved here, is that it's not just like Lyme disease is like the worst one, but it only comes from one kind of tick or something. And there's all kinds of ticks and all kinds of different things. Thank you for the prayer for healing, you guys. Thank you. It was a little bit scary there, especially that first day, because I'm thinking, what has happened to me? Yes, tick fever. Yes, I'm taking ivermectin as well. I had already been sort of taking it because I got some from Trey Smith's wife, Julie. Florida Beach Mom says Tallahassee ticks are bad. I've been to Tallahassee. It's beautiful there. It's such a beautiful place. All of Florida, really. I'm scared of the alligators. Those giant lizards. I see videos all the time of people just relaxing out by the water, and next thing, this beast comes out of the water. Oh my goodness. I will not blow off Lyme. Thank you for warning me. No, I'm gonna be making sure I'm getting everything checked out this week. It's just it was going into the weekend, and it just happened like right before the weekend, and so it happened on Thursday. I didn't even know what to think. By Friday, I went to the urgent care. Yeah, not a fan of antibiotics. I don't like taking them, but I was a little worried, and I wanted to also see if that would help, and it did. By the second dose, I was feeling better. Thank you again for more prayers for healing. Mason, Ohio. Hi, Ricky. Lyme disease is a man-made disease. Don't know. I don't know enough about it. Antibiotics fixed West Virginia mountain mama. Rocky Mountain spotted fever. Oh, hi, mama. Hello there. I didn't realize that was you saying that. I'm reading everything so fast. Yeah, it's the same for me. I'm taking antibiotics and I feel much better. I wonder if that's what it is. Yeah, they did. They drew my blood at the urgent care, and they sent it in for testing. She said it would take a few days, and it was the weekend. So I should know by this time next week. I'll definitely know something. Lyme disease cases are rising in the southeast U.S. Wow. Middletown, Ohio. Hi. Same thing happened to you. Bald Eagle 1212 literally cried out to God to take the pain away. No reason for me to get this other than spiritual attack. Wow. Bioweapon. Huh. Very interesting, guys. I'm so glad I wasn't even sure if I was going to bother telling you, but you know what? Why not? Jeanette from Port Elizabeth. My dad is from Uteneg, very close to Port Elizabeth. Okay, everybody. Thank you, Winifred. Winifred's over there on X. Hi, Winifred. Winifred, how's your painting doing? She bought one of my husband's Jesus paintings, and I remember writing your label. I'm writing all the labels for those, you guys. He's still got Jesus prints, so he'll do it in gold and black and white. And I will pull it up now so you can see. I don't know what the medication they put me on is now. They only test for 3 strains. Oh, 7 Mile Island. Where's 7 Mile Island?
7 Mile Island was this island on, I think it was off the coast of Manhattan.
Oh, okay.
They did like all kinds of experiments.
Well, this is what everyone's telling me. I didn't know this.
Is that
My
right?
goodness gracious. Hi, Gloria in Northern Colorado. Hello. Lovely to have you. Colorado is so beautiful. Okay, so who has been watching? I'm looking to the side because the chat's now on the side. It used to be right on the page for me, but I couldn't read it because of my granny eyes. Who's been seeing the ants from Asia? Come on, guys. Research Plum Island off of New York. A shocking story. Thank you, Debbie. I will. My head. No, my head's fine. Someone said, look on your head. My head's fine, and I know that because my sister did my hair last night. She would have seen. My sister Jacqueline, by the way, in case you're wondering, why did your sister do your hair? She's a hairdresser. So she cut my hair for me last night. If you see, it's much shorter. It was quite long. We chopped a lot of hair off. And what does my sweet sister look like? Do you want to come to the camera? She's not dressed for the camera today.
I'm not camera ready.
Jacqueline's not camera ready. She's dressed for behind the scenes. She did my hair, but she didn't do her own. She doesn't want to come on camera. Next week, Jacqueline, you're going to better pretty yourself up next week because people hear you often, but they don't see you. Wow, I didn't realize Long Island, epicenter of Lyme disease. You know, I understand it out here in Tennessee because there's so many trees. But I guess there's trees there too. I mean, wherever there's trees, and the deer carry them, the animals carry them. Jacqueline is pretty. My sister is very pretty, but she's also vain.
Mom will never forgive me if I go on camera.
I know. I'm just teasing her. She's my sister. I have to. Okay, so. Hey there, Mary from North Carolina. We're not far. Veronica's also in North Carolina. We got all the symptoms same day as you. I looked out the window early in the morning. It was full of fog, did not burn off until, ooh, interesting. Oh, Pink Parasol's wearing the Kim Clement t-shirt I made. It's a pink one. If anybody wants one of those, I have a Spring account attached to my YouTube channel. And I did, you guys remember when I was making all the stuff for the t-shirts. It's just right now we're actually trying to figure out how to get the t-shirts done because we're wanting to put the Jesus print on t-shirts as well. But I haven't said anything because we haven't figured out which one to use. We want a nice quality t-shirt. We don't just want to do like the old Spring thing. Plus, they charge so much on Spring. That's what really deterred me from that. Is it's what, if I don't make any profit, that's fine. But they charge a lot. I don't know. Just seems like too expensive. So anyway, but if you don't mind spending $20 on a t-shirt, oh my goodness, limecore.com. I'm writing it down. If you No, I found the mark on my toe, which now I can tell is not a mosquito bite because the way that I'm not going to show you my toe, but there's a bright red like mark there. I put that limecore.com. I'm going to check that out. Yeah, now that's something Wendy Walsh is saying. I'm a threat to the adversary. That's kind of the feeling I was getting, because you guys know, let's talk about it. I was going to go to the protests and riots, but we'll go back there. What have I been going on about for weeks with everybody, kind of driving everybody nuts a little bit? The lion. I saw the lion coming. Now, I saw it last year, but then recently it reignited in me so strong that I was going and watching documentaries of lions. I learned so much about lions. I know so much about lions now, the way they hunt, the way they're the only kind of big cat that is social, that travels in a pride together. So many things about lions that I discovered, but I was very, very focused on the Atlas lion, the Barbary lion, or the Atlas lion, which are native to Morocco and the Atlas Mountains at the top of Africa, but go over into the Middle East. So not anymore though, because they're extinct in the wild. But these are the kind of lions that. Thank you, Melissa, so much. $50, Melissa. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you. But anyway, I saw this lion. It's been consuming me. I've been on the phone with Amanda Grace because she rescues the animals. I've been on the phone with Dina, who was here just a couple weeks ago. I'm going on and on and on about the lions. I told you guys all about the lions. And what did they call? What did the Israelis name the operation that they just did to take out the leaders of Iran who have held that country hostage under Islamic rules for as long as I have been alive. So I was born in 1979 and I am 45 years old. And for as long as I have been alive, that regime has been in control of Iran, but we're not before. And they named it Operation Rising Lion. And see, other people are seeing. And so it's very interesting. It's sort of like I have been under attack. There's been quite a few things going on. Not everything I can talk about, but I can talk to you about the Lyme disease thing. And it's been a difficult couple of weeks. And so just like heavy on me, and then as I was dealing with my ailments, I see on the news what's going on with Israel, and I'm already cheering. I didn't even know what they'd called it. I'm just cheering for the Iranian people to be free of this. This regime is evil. I'm going to show you some stuff here. Khomeini. How do you say his name? I can't say his name. But the IRGC. See, these are all things I didn't actually have names for, but I knew. And I was watching the whole thing play out, and I kept thinking about my dad prophesying about what God would do in the United States of America and Israel at the same time, and about Bibi Netanyahu and shouting out to Bibi Netanyahu. And he was saying, just go ahead and do it quickly. Oh, that's the clip you have, Lou. The do it quickly. Play it.
God, Israel's amazing. They are fighters, and I promise you, watch me, Israel is not who you must worry about. Worry about those enemies that are coming against Israel, because God has always kept Israel. And even when they've been outnumbered. You hear me? Bibi Netanyahu, the prophet that God raised up to speak to the nations. I've got to be careful. God is with you, so what you are planning, go ahead and do, says the Lord. Now I'll say it again because some didn't catch it. Because Bibi Netanyahu is seeing this. He will see this. They know me. They know my prophetic anointing. Bibi Netanyahu, the Lord is with Israel. Go ahead and do what you plan to do. But don't hold back. Do it quickly, says the Lord. God just spoke a word to our beloved Israel. Did you hear it? The word was, don't worry. They'll try and attack. But what you have planned, prophet and king Bibi Netanyahu, is the will of the Lord. Do it quickly.
So, notice what's interesting about that prophecy. First of all, here we are 10 years later again. Another prophecy being fulfilled 10 years later, where he directly addressed Bibi Netanyahu and said, what you're planning to do it, but do it quickly. And that is exactly what we have seen occurring. I'm having something popping up here. Oh, Lance has arrived. Oh, wonderful. Okay, you can just bring him on. Lance Wallnau, if you don't know who he is, you're about to, is here with us today. Was a dear friend of my mom and dad. There he is. Hello, Lance. Can you see and hear?
Yes, I can. I'm sorry I got carried away with an AI conversation and missed my call time.
You're fine. No, we're just hanging out. This is what we do here. It's live. We've got people in the chat. And happy Father's Day, Lance. You know what? I asked you to do this, and I completely forgot that it was Father's Day. So you don't have to stay long, just as long as
Yeah,
you
I
want
got.
to. Just have a little chat with us. Say hello. I was bitten by a tick, and it debilitated me for 2 days. And so I was just telling everybody about that, and we were talking about what's just happened with Israel and Iran, Operation Rising Lion. And my dad prophesied. I don't know if you just saw that or if you were coming on, but dad prophesied to Bibi Netanyahu directly and said to him, what you're planning to do it, but do it quickly. And this is a pattern that we've noticed now for a long time. I've been noticing the 10 years. My dad would have prophesied something, and then the 10 years till the fulfillment. We've seen it time and
Wow.
time again. And so with this again, this was April 23rd of 2015. So it wasn't long after that he got sick. So in 2015, 10 years ago, he was shouting, Bibi Netanyahu, what you're going to do it, but do it quickly. And so as we've
Wow.
seen, yes. So as we've seen, with what's happened over this past week,
Yeah.
with Israel, it has been necessary for them to move quickly. And so that's where we are in our discussion. But I actually wanted to bring you on to talk about your revelation on the American Party, because you noticed it before I did, Lance. You got me on the code breaking.
Yeah. Well, the two things. One, Operation Rising Lion, Netanyahu, they chose that term from Numbers, where
We lost your audio, Lance. Give Lance a second there, Lou.
can you hear me?
Let's
Hear
just
me?
give Lance a second. Okay, now we can hear you. There you go. Last thing I heard was Numbers. They got Rising Lion from Numbers.
Yeah. So the Rising Lion comes from Numbers anyway. So they chose the term Rising Lion. Balaam prophesied Israel would become like a lion that rises. And so they chose that. So the interesting thing is Balaam went to curse them, but even in cursing them, God made him bless them. So that tells you something. Now, as for the American Party, I remember when your dad prophesied that. I'm dissatisfied with both parties, and said that what he was going to do would be consternation to Republicans and despised by Democrats. I remember when he said that, I thought, how in the world can you have anybody run for president who isn't either a Democrat or Republican? I mean, traditionally, just you can't have a third party. But when I told people, I told General Flynn, I told various others, I said, Kim Clement prophesied that there'd be a third party, the American Party. So obviously my ears perked up the moment that Elon Musk said it's time for another party, the American Party. And I said, well, there it is, prophecy being fulfilled. But the logical thing is you don't want to divide Trump's base. So I think what he's talking about is the emergence of the party is going to start to come under the horizon. And so the Tea Party was what rose up when Obama was president to deal, oddly enough, with the crises of national debt, which has gone from 20 trillion to 35 trillion since then. It's unsustainable. Elon knows that, which is why he's frustrated. He's a science guy, he's a mathematician. And Donald Trump knows it too. But Donald Trump also knows that he's got a narrow margin in the Senate and in the House. So he's trying to create an engine of profitability that will be so strong, it'll create the ability of a future political cut into the debt itself. And nobody's thinking about the fact that as you see these riots, which is all about 12 million illegals that came in under Biden, what you've got is you've got the Democrat Party elites, ironically, funding, the Kings in the Democrat Party are funding the No Kings, protest, which is hilarious because it comes from about 7 major billionaire donors and multimillionaires that are underwriting the radical left. And their goal is to keep the 12 million here and convert them into votes so that they have a sustained majority, kind of like Venezuela, and they could socialistically vote themselves in permanently. And we're only removing 100,000 criminals, and in 5 months, you need to be removing 100,000 a month, maybe even a week, in order to get rid of 12 million, which is going to be very unlikely because the resistance they're putting up over even deporting criminals is so aggressive. So you have a real spirit of lawlessness in the land with media working with them. These are the two principalities we've got, that are so fortified. But the good news is the majority of the American public is not in agreement with them. They're operating with a 70 to 30, 80 to 20, 60 to 40 unlikability factors. So they may organize, they may scream, but if there's enough resolve, um, with the Trump supporters and the populist movement, they could still control, hopefully, reverse the trend of losing midterms and be able to sustain the work that's been begun. But the American Party now represents the potential of a force within the MAGA movement that can actually shape the agenda.
Yes, and you know what? You got to remember something else my dad prophesied about was death to debt. I'm sure you remember him for years and years. He went on and on about death to debt and a new energy. And so I find that also very interesting because everybody is frustrated with both parties. But you couldn't, for me also, I understand that you can't just fracture the base because you're handing it to the Democrats, because they'll pick up those votes. And then something else interesting that I heard was one of the reasons that they resist so much the immigration is because states like California would lose seats. So many people have left California already, and they decide, how many seats, how many votes each state gets by how many are popular, how much the population is, and if that keeps reducing, especially if you're taking illegals out of there, like you said, it should be more. They're going to start losing seats politically. So, which is, I think a valid
Yeah, and
observation.
as bad as California is with people leaving and illegals going in, it's interesting that Trump still got 40% of the vote. So it's not like 6 out of 10 people there are really all are invincible. They could be 50-50 very quickly.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'm finding it quite hopeful. I am very excited about what's going on with Israel and Iran. I hear people's concerns about America not being involved in the war, not getting
Yeah.
involved in with Iran, and certainly I also would rather that not happen. But my dad did see a short war, the rise of the Fourth Reich, and he saw a short war and named European countries: France, England, Poland. Those were some of the countries, and a connection with Russia. Russia will join hands with Iran, and that was something else my dad saw. And so we're starting to begin to see how it's all connected. But I'm feeling very hopeful because of what my dad prophesied, because something he said was, while these cats and dogs are fighting, America will prosper. And again, he was going on about death to debt. And so he was seeing all this stuff happening, but he was seeing America would prosper and that there would be a death to that debt as a result of a new energy discovery, though. And so, and other things, of course.
Yeah,
And
and it kind of makes you stop and think, if Russia wasn't in such a conflict with Ukraine, and God has his way in a whirlwind. If Russia was freed up from the Ukraine and had a victory and negotiated with the acquisition of land, it might be bold about saying it's going to get itself involved with Iran. but it really doesn't have the ability to expand itself into any other theaters of activity at this time. So the good news is Putin can indicate that as a nuclear power he wants to be, involved. But Trump's playing this very smart. He's saying, "Well, I'm not involved, so you shouldn't be involved." And then now the challenge is the one reactor. They hit the one key reactor that has the 2,000 centrifuges, but the Fordo FORDOW is one that's half a mile underground, and the only technology that could break that is the bunker busting bomb, the mother of all bombs, the Moab bomb that the U.S. has. And the question is, how will Israel really neutralize the threat of Iran unless they actually succeed in getting into the Fordow underground laboratory and shutting it down or collapsing so that those 2,000 centrifuges are not going to be able to be accessed? And so that's the piece I'm waiting for to hear. And if the U.S. is the only one that can do it, how will that work? Maybe they have to try to turn it over to the Israel Army, Air Force, and trust that they are capable of handling a stealth bomber and delivering that payload. But this is, Israel. They have 2,000 ballistics in Iran, and they've only rained down a couple of hundred so far. So the fear is that they just go blitzkrieg. And Israel is not targeting civilian areas. But but rather Iran's 50% of their economy is dependent on their oil refineries. If they keep hitting residential and personal sites, it could move Israel to just take their economy out completely, which would add a lot of pressure to the overthrowing of the mullahs if they have total economic collapse. But here's the game. If they do that, China is 100% really dependent on working illegally, really, with the boycott that Trump put on oil. China cheats, and we haven't called them on it. So it would hurt China if the refining capacity shut down. So you might see China taking an interest in accelerating peace because they can't afford to have their oil cut off. It gets very complicated, but
So
that's the analysis that thinking Christians ought to be praying about.
yes, very good point. Very, very good point. And what has been made things a lot easier for me through this journey is because I have to and I want to pay such close attention to what my dad's prophesying and prophesied about, that it's really helped guide me on a journey. I never paid attention to any of this stuff, until after my dad passed away. And then I'm looking at the prophecies all the time. And so for years, some of those prophecies I've been watching, and it's really made it easier. He was warning about China. I found something last week where he was talking about China and Russia in 2010. And he was saying, "Did you see China and Russia playing the best of friends?" And he was warning about that. And so what the bigger picture that I've seen is the joining of communism and Islam is the great danger here. And this is the issue, is when and if even in the LA riots, I noticed, if you were just visibly, if you're looking at the because I watched a lot of live coverage of it, you see the Palestinian flag and you see the Antifa communists. And there it was. And Dad had seen a maroon triangle. He said, "I see a maroon color and a triangle." And he was talking about a terrorist organization. And that was also very interesting because I'm looking through those prophecies. Monday morning, I'm watching Glenn Beck. He pulls up graffiti from the LA riots that were over the week. This is last weekend. And he's showing this triangle. And he said that Hamas has been using that symbol to mark Israeli targets. And so the way it's beginning to come together is not how I expected, but it's very, very clear. And that's just me following what he prophesied. And so this is
Yeah.
beyond me, my dad prophesied this. and now it's happened. It's way beyond that, because now that we're in the middle of this, I'm actually pulling the prophecies and I'm thinking, okay, that's what that looks like. That's what that looks like. And it's made the journey much easier. As for us here, it's made it much easier to discern through this, because I mean, if you're scrolling through social media anyway, where the propaganda, and especially something surprising for me, has been on the conservative side, the rise in anti-Semitism and the constant blaming of the Jews for everything. I've seen a lot of people. I understand the hesitancy to want to be involved in any more wars, especially in the Middle East. But there is this, and my dad warned about this: the Fourth Reich and the propaganda is that we're seeing, even on on the left, we understand, we've seen what they're doing, but on the right, there's this sort of constant, the conspiracy theories about the Jews, and the Jews are behind everything, and blaming the Jews for everything, to the point of they're looking stupid. Especially when you understand that if Iran, Iran, they call Israel the little Satan, and we're the great Satan. So them getting a nuclear weapon, and there I'm seeing Trump every time you ask him about Iran, he's like, they cannot have a nuclear weapon. And so, I have a concern for that's something I've been praying about too, and all of us here, is this unexpected anti-Semitism on the right and the conservative side. And I don't
Yeah,
know if you have any thoughts on that.
and it's two things that are important. One, and I failed to say it because it's new data for me, but the billionaires that are funding the uprising are funded through the CCP. So the Chinese Communist Party is funding the Marxist socialist radicals on the left. The moment that that story gets out, and none of the networks want to bring it out other than Fox, they won't expose the funding. But let's pray for Pam Bondi, Cash
Mm.
Patel, and Dan Bongino to have the courage and the focus to be able to make the statement so that Trump can say it, that the communist CCP funding is working to fuel the left wing so the Democrats can be labeled as the Communist Party. And we got to start doing that.
Mm.
The upside down. I caught your broadcast with Glenn Beck. I was watching it. I ran into you in my social media feed, ironically, and so
Good.
I knew I was going to talk to you, so I wanted to see what you were doing. And the Hamas triangle there. There's no doubt that spiritually, the devil wants to link up radical Islam or the pro-Palestinian is how they do it. The pro-Palestinian sentiment, college campus and university and media, which will be anti Semitic in nature. It wants to link that up on the left. And on the right, what we have is the Tucker Carlson, potentially J.D. Vance, maybe Don Jr., because they're all friends. Their alliance in the MAGA group wants no foreign wars, where sort of Steve Bannon falls into that trap. And the problem is that if you do not have a Christian worldview, then you do not recognize the spiritual warfare over Israel and the end time scenario of history moving back towards the Middle East. What they do not know and what they haven't calculated is that a full 60%, at least half of the MAGA populist movement, is pro life Catholics and evangelical Protestants, which means half of the MAGA movement has something that neither Don Jr., nor J.D. Vance, nor Tucker Carlson, nor Bannon fully comprehend. And that is a theology regarding Israel and the Antichrist and the Middle East. And so we're not going to move on that. You're not going to see the MAGA base fracture, but you're going to see those large voices sounding like, and so there again, you got to pray that the president's ears are protected from the idea that his own coalition, and that's the reason why he's keeping himself so out of Iran right now. But he needs to hear, and he needs to hear strongly, that the larger part of his MAGA base is totally in solidarity with the fact that we want no foreign wars, but Israel isn't treated like Ukraine or Taiwan. It's got a different leverage over his people. And I think it wouldn't take much to convince them of that, but we got to raise our voices for that to come out.
Absolutely. That's exactly how I've been feeling about it as well, Lance. You articulated beautifully as always. Um, thank you for spending a little bit of your time with us today. I won't keep you any longer, but I so appreciate you, especially on Father's Day, joining me. And I don't know if there's anything you want to share about my dad. I don't know, a little more personal. You guys were such good friends, and I don't know if people actually realize that so much time has passed. But I have so many good memories of you and my dad laughing and texting each other
Oh
silly
yeah.
videos. You were good
Well, it's
friends.
true. I mean, your father and I were. I think that, he was so great. He was so funny in a way. He would do stuff. One time he called me and he told me that he had had a dream, and that in the dream I was disassociating from him, but he wanted me to know that he forgave me. I said, but I'm not disassociating from him. He goes, I know that, but I want you to know that I forgave you. I'm thinking he had a dream and saw it in a dream. I wasn't doing it, but he called me to let me know I'm being forgiven for something I didn't even do. But I mean, that was the relationship we had. He would do crazy stuff like that. One time we're driving down the highway, and he hung out with Matt Crouch, and your father was always more fashionable because he had a rock star kind of persona. And me, I've always been like the nerdy, Jewish professor. So one time we're driving down the highway, and he looks at me, and he takes the glasses off of my face and throws them out the window because they were such a an affront to his artistic expression. And so I put up with this because I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, the terrible glasses." But then, true to your dad's style, he went and bought me a pair of real stylish, like Gucci sunglasses. So I realized, and then one time he did something really crazy. We're both at a meeting, and it's time for the offering. And and I wrote what I thought was a generous offering, I don't know, $100 or something. And he looks at it, he goes, "Oh," he grabs my checkbook and he makes it out for like, I don't know, $1,000, and makes me sign it because he didn't have any money with him. So I don't know to this day who got credit for that, him because he had faith to give a bigger offering, or me, but it took my checkbook. But that's how close we were. You have to be a friend to live with those kinds of
Yeah.
crazy moments. And and they're just endearing eccentricities. But I just loved your dad, so we had that liberty, and it was makes him
Yes.
special.
Well, he loved you too, Lance. He really, and again, like I said, I have so many memories, everybody watching. I have so many memories of listening to my dad. And I mean, there were times I would sit and listen to you and my dad talking over dinner or whatever. I was just a kid, but I was listening very intently to the very interesting conversations the two of you used to have. And it had a very big impact on me and the way I viewed things and my perception. Um, and I have so many good memories of being a child and just being around you and Annabelle and the family and our families together. And those were good
Well,
times. Rhode Island and
I
when you were
know.
back up
And
there.
the time my son got up so tired, he had to go to the bathroom, and he went into the closet and started going to the bathroom in the closet
Had to
because you would
stop him.
babysit when we were traveling. You
Yes,
would watch over the kids,
I was the
and
oldest and I would babysit all the kids. And that was really good for me. Those were good years to prepare me for the future that we are now in, Lance. And it is wild. It has just
well,
been
you're
really
doing,
wild.
Donna, you're doing a beautiful job stewarding your father's legacy,
Thanks.
stewarding the words appropriately. So you're the one that carries the mantle of that, and it's increasing. And as you're connecting the dots and formulating your own perception of current events, you're really providing a very important function of helping people to thread the needle. Because, like you said, your dad was prophesying things. He would prophesy like, like the prophets in the Old Testament. They'd be prophesying about, their time, and then suddenly they're leaping into the day of Jesus, coming into, like Zechariah, suddenly he's riding a colt, and people are looking at him like, "What are you talking about?" Well, Jesus fulfills it 400 years later. So your dad would prophesy, and people get thrown off because in the middle of one thread, he'll leap into a whole different story, And then people go, well, wait a second. What's this thing about, a young man with Trump and, and who's the young man? Well, who knows who the young man? It could be Barron for all we know. But your dad was prophesying in these fragments of insight that he got and linked them together. So you have to really be a student of the prophetic with your father to say, this section applies to this section applies to that. Because it all came like the Old Testament prophets in one oracle.
Absolutely right on. And you know what? I've definitely made some mistakes along the way. That Esther prophecy was one of them. I actually have to stay away from the Esther prophecy now because I've gotten myself into trouble.
Well, but that's because when you have those, what I'm saying, he would prophesy and then link something. He's seeing it, but he's seeing. It's almost like he's seeing different time zones, and as he's seeing it,
Yeah.
he's speaking into it. It's like he would always say to me, God gives us the nuts and our job is to crack them. And so, he gives us those nuts and we got to crack them and we got to know exactly where they apply. But it's understandable trying to connect the dots prematurely because
Yeah.
the prophetic words are given almost in combination with each other. So you have to segment them.
Well, I found that there's a lot of things that back 2016 and during Trump's first term, I was sort of thinking that it was all coming to pass then. But then as time passed, and 2020 was a big wake up for me, now I'm beginning to see the fulfillment of some of those things that I was looking for back then. But it really taught me to understand God's timing. And my dad used to say something. He used to say, you have to dance to God's rhythm. You have to be in his timing. And that's something I've
Right.
really learned over the years. And it took going through some difficult times. But I've come out of it having a much deeper understanding of what my dad was actually doing. And I often wish I could go back in time and just experience that, knowing what I know now when he was alive, because I would have my whole understanding of what was going on. I was just didn't know any different. That was my whole life, so I didn't know what I was actually in. And once he was gone, and I was actually left alone with all of these prophecies, which I threw on a bag, carried on my back, and just shared, because no matter what, I've realized that as long as we get them out there, the people together, we figure it out. And those who've heard it, as long as they get a chance to hear it, people are going to be able to. And we've got a place here. People can email us. They can contact me. They can get on the chat and talk. And we figure it out together. And there's something really beautiful about that, because then it's not all on me all the time. As long as I make sure people get to see them and hear them. And the spiritual side of that is very important too, because there's also the declaration of what was prophesied and reminding God of what he's promised, and a guide through this. I often describe it as being like if you were in a dark place and there's just little lights along the way that lead you through. And think about how different the world is now than it was when Dad was alive and prophesying. So many things have changed. The way we consume media, not just the news, but everything has changed so drastically. And so to be able to navigate through that and find what is the truth, what is really even going on, has been difficult. But having this has been just a gift to so many people, because when you see that fulfilled, how much faith it gives you as well. And so we're just blessed and grateful, and so thankful to you also, Lance, for taking the time to join us
Well, I
today
love
on
you guys.
Father's
Love
Day.
love you and Jane and Annabelle. I hear Annabelle in the other room in there. I won't go in there. I'll introduce anarchy to our conversation because she's in there.
Well, tell her I
She's on the
love
phone right
her.
now.
Let her
Huh?
know I love her and I miss
I
her.
will. I
And
will. God
thank
bless
you
you all. Love you.
so much for joining us,
Thanks,
Lance.
Danae.
See you next time.
Bye
Thanks,
bye.
Lance. All right, everybody. That was awesome, wasn't it? I haven't seen your comments. Okay, there's lots of comments. Oh, good. I'm glad. I wasn't reading them. I was focusing really on Lance. And you guys, you know what? Like I said, I have known Lance since I was younger than my daughter is now. So I must have been 11, 12 years old around then when I met Lance. And he was working at a church in Rhode Island. And that's where we first started my dad and Lance. And like he described to you, my dad taking his sunglasses off and throwing them out the car window because he didn't like Lance's taste in sunglasses. Just so typical of my dad. And that made me laugh because that's exactly the kind of thing he would do. But they were very good friends, and our family, still to this day, we're all very good friends. And funnily enough, Lance is now in Texas where we used to live, and we've moved over now to Tennessee. But it all started in Rhode Island, which is a beautiful place. It's a beautiful place. Vicky, you and Clay Clark saved me in 2018. Oh, really? That is wonderful. Yeah, I know. We do love Lance. My dad used to call him the Nutty Professor because, Lance will get there with his chalkboard or dry erase board, and he'll do his kind of thing. But man, he is just so anointed, especially in discerning and understanding the prophetic and helping people to understand it. Lance really was gifted in that way, and my dad really recognized that in him. And so, thanks again to Lance Wallnau for joining us. And now we're going to pull up my X page, and we're going to spend the rest of our time having a look at things that happened. Again, I am feeling very well, I don't even know what to think because of the lion thing. Rising lion. Lance said from Numbers. Someone had said that to me too. That's why they called it that. You know what else is interesting? Is that the flag in Iran used to be the lion before the revolution, the Iranian revolution in 1979. The woman with the round eyes, that's the Esther I was talking about that I try to stay away from because I keep getting into trouble. I keep thinking I figured out who it is. Although we do really feel that Kristi Noem is who he was speaking about. Cartels will be afraid of a woman. And I always knew that it would have to be somebody. I'm getting myself into trouble already. I can tell it. I can feel it. Somebody who would be in a position of authority to have that kind of an influence on cartels, especially considering how much they've grown since even when my dad was prophesying it, and their dealings with nations and things and the corruption that's happened through them. And so he saw that she would have big, beautiful eyes. Kristi Noem does have big, beautiful eyes. She's actually very pretty. And so we kind of think it's that, but I don't want to say definitively. It does seem to be going that way. My mom is convinced that it's Kristi Noem. And so, yes, and if anybody's not sure what I'm talking about, my dad prophesied about an Esther that would rise up in the middle of the presidency, around the middle, he wasn't sure, and that she would have big, beautiful eyes, and that cartels would be afraid of a woman. So what I realized is he was seeing different people that were in the administration. For instance, the Kennedys. He saw he didn't say RFK Jr. He saw the Kennedys, and he saw the joining of hands of Republicans and Democrats in an unusual way. And so that's why, if you remember when RFK Jr. first started running for president against Trump, I was feeling back then, this is back when I was still doing this show from my house. So those of you who've been watching for a long time, I was very, very excited about Kennedy. And I felt so strong about Kennedy, there would be something good. I knew he was not going to be president. I knew that it was going to be Trump. There was no doubt for me with that. But I could see Kennedy. I couldn't know how, but I could see something was going to be good with Kennedy. And what happened? Kennedy joined Trump's administration, and we saw the joining hands of Republicans and Democrats in an unusual way. And so we saw that happen. And look at what he's doing with Maha. He just fired all of the vaccine advisory board and has put, what's his name? What is the name of the doctor he's just put in charge of the vaccines? I'm waiting for someone to tell me in the comments. Yes, Mama, West Virginia Mountain Mama, I am excited. Oh, Cynthia's been watching The Lion Whisperer. Cynthia's over in the House of Destiny chat. For those of you who are not watching from there, you can. So if you ever have any trouble on Rumble, on YouTube, on X, we also stream this live from our own platform, which is House of Destiny Network. You can go to kimclement.com, houseofdestiny.org, and watch us live and be a part of the chat in there. So, which is one of them that I have open. And Cynthia's in there. Hi, Tyler Simpson, Kelly. Hi, guys. But Cynthia is watching The Lion Whisperer. If you don't know what I'm talking about, in the last few weeks when I've been obsessing about the lions, God showed me the lion, and I started upset. One of the things that I came across, one of the channels that I've been watching is The Lion Whisperer on YouTube, and I absolutely love that channel. And Cynthia's in there saying she's hooked, and so I'm so glad. I'm so glad to hear that because it is very, very unusual. Listen, don't go watching Lion Whisperer and thinking that you can go get a pet lion. Don't do that. It takes a special kind of person with the right things and the right stuff. Because I know you might scroll through social media sometimes and see somebody with a lion sitting in their living room. That is a foolish idea. A lion is a wild animal. You cannot. Dr. McCulloch, thank you. Thank you. Dr. McCulloch is who RFK Jr. has put in charge. So good with, he's anointed with those cats. And you really, it takes you're going to be dedicating your entire life to that. You're not going to be doing anything else. Now, something that I have been considering, though, is how can we support the lions? So people like Lion Whisperer. What is a way, we can send them some money and stuff, but that they're starting to go extinct. And the Barbary lion, the Atlas lion, which is the lion they used to use in the Colosseum, the Romans used to fight gladiators and to kill Christians. So not so good. But lions are doing what they do. It made me think of Daniel in the lion's den. I wonder how that went down, right? Because they put him in the lion's den, and the lions didn't eat him. And then you see someone like the lion whisperer, and there he's rolling. But he's known those lions their whole lives. He's accepted into the pride. There is what's the guy's name? The Swedish guy. Oh, I wish I could shout out his channel too. So there's a young Swedish guy does the same thing, and he says about lions that they're going to see you one of three ways. You're either going to be food, or you're going to be part of the pride and accepted, or you're an enemy, because lions fight over territory all the time. That's one of the main things that happens. One of the main functions of the male lions is protecting the pride, and one of the things they do is patrol their territory. Oh, beautiful, Bali. Now, that is an Atlas lion or Barbary lion from North Africa. You'll notice the mane is much fuller and goes further down around the body, under the body, whereas an African lion, the mane is only around the shoulders. But on this lion, you'll see the mane is much thicker, and that's because these lions lived in the mountains where it got colder. You see how the mane goes all the way under. Oh, he's so beautiful. Oh my gosh, that vision that I had was so strong. Just keep that picture up there, Lou. That vision I had of the lion was so intense that I get emotional when I look at this. This is the kind of lion I saw, and it was walking towards me, and it was the most magnificent thing. I was not afraid. And it has pulled me into this obsession with I want to watch them all the time. Yes, that's right, Panteras 9. Lionesses are the ones who hunt. The lions will sometimes hunt. If they're hunting something bigger, they'll hop in there to help. Yeah, but they're mainly for defense, and they protect the pride and the young, and they do most of the hunting. They have the advantage of being smaller and quicker and more limber, and then with more numbers, they're able to take down the prey. But you will see the male lions will get involved when they're hunting buffalo, for instance, or something that's bigger. Then they can do it. They can handle it. But they go around, they mark the territory, and they patrol it. And so you'll find when you're watching some of these, yes, Whitestone, I did have an encounter with Jesus, and that is exactly what I felt. Is that what I was looking at was Christ, and that's why I wasn't afraid. I felt so excited, like I just was so excited. That was a female lioness that you just saw, and I just have this thing about that particularly though the Atlas lion, which is extinct. And the reason I was bringing all of that up is because not too long ago there were about 200,000 or more lions in the wild. There are now, I think, under 30,000 in the wild, and so Donna is watching lion videos every day. Just watch them. It's so interesting. Sometimes it can get a bit, much, when they're hunting something. But it has been so interesting. And I see a reflection of human beings in the way they are with the lions and their prides. And it's really, really cool. Lance has a new book, The Return of the Lion. I didn't know that. Oh, I wish I'd known. I would have brought that up to him. Narnia, that's another one, C.S. Lewis. Lance's book is The Return of the Lion. Oh, well, Lance is not here anymore, but I'm going to plug his book. I haven't read it, but I'm going to now, and I recommend it. Yes, Barbary Lion, Atlas Lion. And so, okay, Lou, you can pull my... Yeah, yes, Barbary, or Atlas, like a map. But the Atlas mountain range is up in Morocco, in the very north of Africa. Yes. Now, a lion that has gone extinct is the Cape lion, which is from... Oh, here we go. Someone posted this, knowing nothing about our lion discussion or my experience with the lions. But notice, this used to be the flag, the Persian flag, and there is the lion. And you know what? I bet you it was a Barbary or an Atlas lion, because that's the kind of lion that would have been up in that region of the world. So sub-Saharan lions, which are the lions that I grew up around in South Africa, that's a different kind of lion. Now, further down, there used to be the Cape lion, which was bigger, but those are now extinct. Lewis joined us. Hello, Lou.
If you look at the picture closely, you'll actually see the mane underneath the stomach.
I see it, Lou.
So when they used to use lions and that, when you used to see the mane underneath, that was basically...
Yes.
Because that's how they represented it.
Now, isn't that interesting that God showed me that?
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing, and this is the thing that everybody is excited about right now, is that Iran, they want the Iranian people to take back their country. And the Shah, who used to be, it's like the king, he's actually the son of the guy who was the king when it was taken over, is calling out to people. Let's go through. Here's something interesting, an Iranian account. The fact that people in Israel are in shelters and in Iran they're on their rooftops shows which side is targeting civilians. So, of course, the propaganda abounds. Everybody just, hating on Israel all the time, but they're actually taking care of a problem that this whole thing with Tim Walz, not Tim Walz, but with the Minnesota lawmakers being shot. Did you guys see that lady crying after she voted? She voted, and she voted against funding medical for illegal immigrants. It was her and the other guy, and those are the two that were attacked. Now, why would someone MAGA? I don't know if you saw the roommate. I might actually have it in here. Let me keep scrolling here. I'm getting distracted, but that is important. I haven't forgotten about that. Very weird. I don't trust that whole situation at all. That's strange. Seems like we certainly don't know everything, but the following bases destroyed in Tehran over the last few minutes. Greater Tehran Police Headquarters. This was 5 hours ago. Intelligence Ministry, Iranian Navy Headquarters, Justice Ministry, Iranian Air Force. So what Israel is doing is they're taking out, first of all, they went in and took out their ability to make a nuclear weapon as best they could. So they killed the scientists, they killed the heads of the regime and those people that are in charge and controlling everything, and their ability to make the nuclear weapon. So they're not just blindly bombing its civilians in Iran. They're actually saying very clearly to the Iranians, this is not about you. We want to help to free you. This is your chance, because we're taking them out because the Iranians fund Hamas, they fund the Houthis. And so without that Iran deal, which Obama gave them, we saw trouble. Trump took it away, the Iranian deal. No more trouble. As soon as Biden got in, back to Iran deal. Then we had October 7th and all the other stuff that's been happening. Houthis in Yemen. Remember, my dad prophesied Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Solomon. I have actually a clip from that as well. Now, this was interesting. Here, I'm going to play this for you guys. This was from a little while back when we were looking at South Africa, and PBD interviewed this South African guy. And let me just see if I can just turn the sound on. I don't need to make it
Israel of committing genocide against Palestinians and
it's out now.
Unless you repeal
Let me know if you can.
economic empowerment laws, expropriation without compensation, and you withdraw the Iran-funded ICJ case against Israel. Iran funded the ANC to put that case against Israel.
Iran funded
the ANC. They sent money to the ANC, and part of that money allowed the ANC, on behalf of Iran, to file the ICJ genocide case against Israel.
And this is when? So the acronym IGCA refers to the International Court of Justice, South Africa against Israel, formally titled Application of the Convention of the Prevention and Punishment of Crime of Genocide in Gaza. Here's a breakdown of the key aspects of it. Allegation: South Africa accuses Israel of committing genocide against Palestinians in Gaza, violating the 1948 Genocide Convention. The application points to actions like killing Palestinians, causing serious harm, deliberately creating conditions to destroy the group, and preventing worse.
Why would South Africa, of all the countries in the world, out of the blue, accuse Israel of genocide through ICJ?
Are they the first one that did it?
They're the only ones that did it. And you know why they did it? Iran paid them to do it. Just type in Iran funding ICJ case. See,
yes, it says Iran did fund support
and
ANC,
the U.S. government knows
African
it.
National Congress during the anti-apartheid struggle, particularly in the 80s. Although the support was relatively limited compared to other international backers like the Soviet Union, Cuba.
We don't need to keep watching that. Lou has approached again.
Well, I can agree with that, because when in South Africa, a few years ago, I can't remember exactly, when there was a huge drought in Cape Town, there was no rain. The wells had all dried up. There was no water. Was shortage of water, and Israel said that they would send South Africa the special machine that they had that would go deep into the ground and pull up the water. Well, the South African government, the ANC, said, we don't want any help from Israel. We don't want anything, because they knew if they joined with, because they were with Iran, they were with, Middle East, whatever, and China. And China is in hands with Iran.
Yes.
So if South Africa accepted anything from Israel, made them look like good people, then they would be in trouble with their
because they were taking money.
And this was right in the face. They just said, no, we don't accept anything from genocidal people. This was the excuse why
they were paid to say it.
But they would rather the South Africans suffer with no water just because of
Unreal.
this.
See, you see how demonic the hatred of the Jews is. It's a demonic thing where people become almost stupid. I've seen lots of people. Tucker Carlson is one of them. I was so disappointed because I was always such a fan. But to see him go in that direction, I have been very, very disappointed about that. So Netanyahu reveals the IDF has taken out Iran's chief intelligence officer and his deputy in Tehran. So that's, and I'm sure you guys are seeing a lot of this news too, but these are things I thought to highlight today. If and when the regime in Iran falls, I can't stress enough how important it is for Western countries to actually have some immigration control. Every single mullah and IRGC terrorist is a dual citizen, as are their families. This is an account, an Iranian girl I've been following. And so I've been listening. I wanted to hear what the Iranian people were saying. So I've really paid attention. Here is the Shah. The Iranian people are now energized and motivated, viewing this as the best opportunity to remove the Islamic regime. Now, let me say this. Something my dad saw about Iran is he was really praying for the people of Iran, especially the Christians. And I've been discovering, not just from hearing, but I'm starting to see it. I watched a person who went to visit Iran, and they were saying how the people are really rejecting the religion, and how there are so many more Christians in Iran than even we realize. And this is their moment. And Israel has given them an opportunity, probably once in a lifetime opportunity, to take their country back. And so we're seeing a lot of Iranians in the West are very, very encouraging to people in Iran. This is your chance. Let's listen to the Shah.
Ultimately, that will benefit both. Well, since the initial strike, there's been a tremendous amount of activity, especially on behalf of the people who are in the streets and are obviously quite, I don't know what's the proper word to use here, re-energized in the sense that this is maybe an opportunity now, seeing the regime being so weak, weakened even more, especially with the practical decapitation of its force de frappe. It equals the playing fields for them. So I think, when you're dealing with a movement of civil disobedience and nonviolence against a very brutal regime, at some point the odds have to be shifting towards the people. I think people are sensing that right now. So there's a new wave of hope and energy that has been created as a result.
So yes, we're really praying. Christian church in China too, absolutely. In China, in Iran, in these countries, and this is what Dad kept prophesying, and what we need to understand is we are not against the people of anywhere. There's leadership that is very, very dangerous in this world right now. The joining of hands, as my dad prophesied, of the communists with the Islamists. And now, many years later, after my dad prophesied it a long, long time ago, and my dad has been gone now for 9 years. But this is what he was seeing. And so it is time for the people to rise up. And I pray that the people of Iran can do this and are successful. I made this little post for my husband today. Happy Father's Day again to my husband, John. This was when we were coming home. This is when we left the hospital with my daughter, our first child. And I was all fat from being pregnant, very fat. I loved it. It was great. So Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu on intel of Iranian attempts to assassinate President Donald Trump. So we already knew that back when that was happening. Michael Reagan, Ronald Reagan's son. I am friends with his son, who's Ronald Reagan's grandson. My husband and I are. And Michael says, I support Israel to finish the job now and not to negotiate anything. Why? Because the mullahs cannot be trusted unless they are dead. And that is true.
Yeah, well, the thing is with Israel is I see a lot of comments from people, especially Christian, and I'm quoting my hands up in the air here, posting on social media. Every time we post something about Israel,
I know.
They
It's a
always
demonic
write these
thing.
terrible things, and the things that, they killed Jesus. They this and that, and they carry on. that you got to remember when Jesus hung on the cross, he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. He forgave them on the cross. Then the curtain tore and God was released to us. And God is like your dad always said, Israel is forever. And it says in Joel 3:20-21, but Israel will prosper forever. Forever is forever. There's no beginning, there's no middle.
Well, and
there's no end.
also because you stand with Israel does not mean you look. Israel in its history. Read the Bible. There's been plenty of evil leaders of Israel and things like that. It's not just a blind trust. We recognize in this moment how necessary it is that if Iran makes a nuclear weapon, Israel is first, the only democracy in the Middle East, surrounded by giant countries filled with people who hate them and want them dead for no reason except for they just hate them. And so there has been a very strong influence on the conservative side, even in Christians, with all the conspiracy theories of all the Jews are behind everything. Everything's the Jews' fault. Blame the Jews for everything. Wake up! Because the person building the nuclear bomb that calls us the great Satan here in the West, as soon as they've finished with Israel, are coming for us. And that's why you see President Trump worried about it. Get your head out of the conspiracy cesspool. I'm a conspiracy theorist all day, but not to the point of being retarded.
Well, I just want to finish the scripture.
Because Israel's handling this for us right now. This is a great service, not only to us. It's so crazy to me. On the left, you're seeing them all supporting the mullahs of Iran who oppress women like you would not believe, who have turned a beautiful country and a beautiful culture of people. Go back and look at pictures of them and images and videos from 1979, and then now all the women covered. And that's what they... No, it isn't what they want. It is not what the Iranian people want. So Israel is taking care of this because it's in their own interest, because they don't want to be bombed. Okay, from the river to the sea means drive all the Jews from the Jordan River into the Mediterranean Sea and kill all of them. Okay? And as soon as they're finished doing that, we're next, because we're the great Satan. We're the infidels. We're the big prize. And so there's a big difference between the Russia-Ukraine conflict or anything else. We don't want to go into war if we don't have to, and I'm praying that we don't, and I don't think that we will. I think this might be able to be sorted out pretty quickly. I don't know for sure, and I'm going to go back and look through all of the Iran prophecies that I have from my dad, because he prophesied about Iran a lot. And I'm going to put them in a video, just like I did with the Putin prophecies. I'm going to do it with the Iran prophecies. And then you guys can discern. You can judge.
Well, I just want to finish the scripture because it's it's quite important. Joel 3:20-21. But Israel will prosper forever, and Jerusalem will thrive as generations pass. For I will avenge the blood of my people. I will not clear their oppressors of guilt, for my home is in Jerusalem with my people. That's the statement from God.
And look again,
to his people.
You see how much this would free the Iranian people. They are so done. You might see little groups of people that are shouting with the regime, but really, the Iranian people have been held. Here we go. Here's a good one. This is the Khomeini. Khomeini, I can never say his name. I have killed thousands of people. I occupy 4 Arab states. I've turned Iran into an open-air prison for 90 million people. I execute young men and women every day, and nobody cares because I'm not a Jew. So I really want you to examine it doesn't mean the Jewish people are perfect. Doesn't mean they never do anything wrong, but right now this ain't wrong. I don't believe this is wrong. I know people are saying, well, they've kind of are forced, and it's a concern, obviously a legitimate concern, in that the Jewish people, the way they've done this is going to sort of inadvertently pull us into the war, and that was their plan all along. Those evil Jews, they're always scheming against everybody. That way of thinking is why we had 2 world wars in the first place. Excuse me. And so I'm praying for everybody. There's the Jesus print that my husband did. He actually tattooed it on his friend. He doesn't tattoo anymore, but once in a while he'll do one, and the friend wanted that Jesus print tattooed on him, and my husband did it. Look how good he is. Really good at it. But he is actually retired now. But you can see. I mean, we lived in Hollywood, and he was tattooing all kinds of famous people. Yes, we stand with Israel. We stand with the people of Iran. Just think about it that way. If you don't understand the biblical side of it, or you don't get that part, just look at the logical side of it. It's not like it's not propaganda that the Iranian regime openly shouts, death to Israel, death to America. And they were making nuclear weapons over there. And Israel not only just called out the bluff, but also Trump gave them 60 days to make a deal, because he said you cannot have a nuclear weapon. Trump gave them 60 days. Day 61 is when this went down. And so Operation Rising Lion. And it was my husband who realized that. And he said, Donna, the lion, they're calling this Rising Lion. Iran is targeting only Israeli civilians. So if you see Iran shooting back, they're shooting at civilians. Where's the uproar? Where is it? Oh, it's fine. It's fine. Because they're not Jews. It's fine. They can do whatever they want because they're not Jews. As soon as a Jew does anything, it's so crazy to me. And again, I'm not just saying blindly, that's not what I mean. I mean, there's not a logic in this. So Iran is targeting only Israeli civilians. Where's Piers Morgan? Where's the United Nations? Where's the human rights? Because Israel isn't targeting Iranian civilians. I'm actually looking for where Netanyahu made a statement about this. Packing their bags. Yes, so they're starting to leave. And I am just so excited for the Iranian people if they can take their country back. Can you imagine? Because I would love to go to a place like Iran and just look at the history and see what's there. And I couldn't go there now. That should tell you everything. I could go to Israel. I could walk around Israel. I've done it. And there's no problem. People like to point out maybe individual cases of Jewish people not liking Christians. You're going to have that everywhere. That's not a thing. Iran is currently begging Russia for military help against Israel, but Putin is denying. But Russia and Iran signed a 20-year strategic military partnership agreement on January 17th of 2025. So at the beginning of this year, remember my dad said Russia will join its hands with Iran. So we're going to keep watching that situation. Here's this was really cool. They used my husband's painting as a prize for winning a raffle. And here's the winner. And he got the painting. So this painting is it's been so cool what's happened with this. And again, if you'd like one, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Petro was here. Lou, do you have his email address? Yeah, it's there. So at the bottom of my screen right now is my husband's email address. And if you want one, he'll send you one for a donation. Because it wasn't a planned thing. He just did the painting of Jesus, and so many people loved it. So he was like, well, I'll send you one. Just let me know. And then that kind of just grew and grew. So many people wanted it. So he hasn't set up with a website or anything yet. So if you want one, email that email address. That's the easiest way for him. If you follow him on X, or if you start, I would encourage you to follow him. But it is easiest for him to fill those orders with his email address. But do follow him on X as well. This is I have a recommendation for you. So if you want to be hearing the most recent news on what is happening between Iran and Israel, this guy, Mayar Tusi, has a YouTube channel called Tusi TV. And my mom and I have been watching him. He's from Iran. His dad is in Iran right now. He has not seen his dad for a very long time. And they have a special message from Iranians to the Western leftists and Islamists. Shut up and go away. But he has a channel. I wonder if it's on his page. Yeah, Tusi TV. That's how you spell it. And he goes live multiple times a day. He is a Christian, and he has a news channel, and his dad is in Iran. He is held by the regime. He cannot see his dad. He fled Iran when he was very young and hasn't seen, but he talks to his dad all the time on the phone. And so his dad will call in while he's live doing his show and tell him what's going on the streets of Iran and how the Iranian people feel. And he's Iranian. He's in the UK and he has this channel 2CTV. So I recommend this very, very strongly if you want to understand what's going on between Israel and Iran, especially what's happening on the ground in Iran. That's not propaganda. That you don't have to go sifting through the news and figuring out. This guy's great, and I'm watching all the time his channel. So that's his page on X and 2CTV. He is a Christian from Iran, and he is very excited about the possibility of seeing his father again, who he hasn't seen since he was a child. So you must understand how it's very cool. It's a very cool situation there. And he goes live multiple times a day. So he's telling you what's going on in the news all the time. And he has been the most reliable. As things were happening, we were watching live streams and things of Israel and Iran. And he has been the best. He's known everything before anybody else is reporting it. Like everyone's behind him, as in slow. And so make sure that if you're interested in this and you want to hear, from some real people reporting that are professional too, 2CTV. Yeah, other people already know about him. 2CTV. He's almost at 1 million subscribers. So I would encourage everybody to follow him so he can get to his. I'm rooting for him to get his million subscribers. He's awesome. He's really cool, and we've been watching him, and we keep listening to his dad calling him, and we've been so excited because if they can take back Iran, he said he wants to be the first news reporting from Iran, from a free Iran. And so we're praying for that to happen. And my dad prophesied this. He prophesied the people of Iran would rise up. And I have to find that. And I'm going to go through all the prophecies this week about Iran, just like I did with Putin last week. I was going to do Fourth Reich this week, but so much stuff happened, and then I got sick, so I haven't done it. But I'm going to pause Fourth Reich, and I'm going to go in on Iran. So watch my YouTube channel. Lou, do you have some information you could put at the bottom for them to find my YouTube channel? My YouTube channel, if you don't follow that, you can also follow that channel, subscribe to it. It's just my name, Donna Clement Petrushka. You'll see a picture of my dad holding up a mantle in the sunset. That's the image. And also my Rumble. I'm also on Rumble. Just my name, YouTube, Donna Clement Petrushka. And Rumble as well, same name. Go follow me as well on both of those, because what I do is I use my YouTube channel often to put out the prophecies so that I can use them, for instance, here, and then I'll get lost on the Kim Clement YouTube channel, which is full. House of Destiny stuff is full. His handle is on X. This is YouTube. It's 2CTV, as I showed you, and at MAHYARTOUSI. That's his handle on X. And you see this right here. If you just search that, and you can see the way his logo is and everything, search that on YouTube, and you'll find him on YouTube. And there's his picture. Highly recommend. Love him. And he's a Christian, which makes it great. Here we go. Iran before the Islamic Revolution. You must understand how important this is. They were traditionally Zoroastrians. They were Zoroastrians. They were not Islamic. This is another place that the Islamists have taken over. And they're trying to take over in this country. And they're doing pretty good with our youth. And we got to stop it. In Jesus' name, we have to stop it. Because that cannot happen. Did you guys, before I go today, did you guys see the March to Gaza? Oh, I just laughed and laughed at the people that have gone through Egypt trying to cross the border there into Gaza and have met with the reality of what it's really like over there. and they have not been able to cross the enormous border fence, the wall. They have their own, covered in barbed wire, between themselves and Gaza. And they did not. I'm not going to play this video because it's kind of long. But if you follow me, you can go watch it. It's very informative. Why does Egypt not want to take in? This is something else people need to be asking. Why are all of these countries not taking in the Palestinian refugees? Like, why? And then you have these Westerners. Here we go. Egyptians are carrying away the Intifada cosplayers because that's what they're doing. They're just pretenders. They're spoiled, just soy boys, facing the reality of what it's really like.
There's people in masks.
Oh, now they got a problem.
There's people in masks. Please, someone screen record this.
I got more.
There's people.
This has been very entertaining. I don't want anyone to get hurt, honestly, no matter who they are. I really don't, but it has. Here, no kings. There's Stephen King. That tickled me. This guy, that story's weird, you guys. Pray about it. Watch it. Something's not right. Nothing's right. This is the lady that was dead now. She was shot. Look at her crying.
We worked
By
very
the next
hard
day,
to try to
he
get a
had
budget
shot her
deal
dead.
that wouldn't include that provision.
DFL Speaker Emerita Melissa Hortman emotional following the House's adjournment from a special session Monday. Hortman was the lone DFL lawmaker to cast a vote to cut Minnesota Care access for undocumented immigrants.
Why would a MAGA person assassinate someone who's voting for the cutting? You see what I'm saying? Like, we don't want anybody getting killed in any of this. That's insane. But there are some insane people out there. That's why you have to be careful what you say and do publicly. Here's the Shah again. Iran belongs to you. Reclaiming it is in your hands. He's really encouraging the Iranians to take advantage of this moment in time because they may not get it again. Because what I'm hearing is if we are not successful in taking that regime down, if Israel is not successful in doing that, and whoever else ends up getting involved, they will be much, much harder on the citizens of Iran than they are now. It'll be even worse. Yes, of course, happy birthday to President Trump. Remember, Dad prophesied the season's prophecy on Trump's birthday in 2014. And so look at what happened on Trump's birthday this year, celebrating the military. You know what? The military deserves to be celebrated. I mean, think of everything. This was a great post. Elon Musk can put the final nail in the coffin of the Iranian regime by providing Starlink internet to the Iranian people. Iran cut off all the internet so the people cannot organize a coup and communicate. And so apparently, from what I've saw after posting this, is that Elon Musk has done it. So this is going to be, look at how beautiful it looks in that frame. This person, Patricia, had hers framed, and that is beautiful, just stunning, just lovely. I was wanting to just show you what the Crown Prince said. Oh, here's some more of the March to Gaza people.
Let you die. You cry. We will never let you die.
They're trying to march over there like they do over here. They've taken his phone and passport. Yeah. All of those people are fine. They got sent home. I saw them all in a bus crying. And we, of course, saw Greta last week trying to get in on boat. But that was all a stunt. It doesn't even matter what actually happens. As long as it gets attention in the media, then they can spin it however they want. Whatever actually happened doesn't matter. You saw her just lying. I'm not going to watch their propaganda videos when it's footage of October 7th. It's like, don't you want to see why? Just at least hear the other side so you know. But she wouldn't because she got paid. She's not allowed.
What was funny about that is that they were like, we're bringing food to Gaza. And then you see the boat.
It's two little
they have
bags of grain.
Bags of And it's like who you
The
gonna-
Israelis politely took it, gave them sandwiches and water, and sent them home.
It's like
She was not a hostage.
You're traveling all this way to hand off a bit of grain and a few little things to how many people would they have fed? Maybe a family, not even.
And, you know, that's very sweet of them and everything, but they're fools. Saudi Arabia has been very cooperative and helpful through all of this. I know that my dad has warned about some stuff with Saudi Arabia. Here's Mossad taking down the entire drone facility deep inside Iran. It was they had a drone facility, and so they've been working from inside. I fled Iran as a child, carrying in my heart the memories of women beaten in the streets for daring to wear makeup, of girls whose only crime was letting a strand of hair escape their scarves, and of neighbors dragged off to prison for refusing to bend to the regime's cruelty. Tonight, as I watch the news of Israeli strikes on Iran's nuclear sites, I feel a surge of hope, not for the destruction itself, but for the first glimmer of freedom for the people trapped under a government that gouges out women's eyes for their clothes and tortures dissidents for daring to think differently. This is the reality. Jordan has intercepted and shot down several Iranian drones. So you see, what Israel is doing is what the rest of the Middle East was too scared to do. Patriots inside Iran express their support for Israel. We, the people of Iran, stand with Israel. We will fight to the death to overthrow the evil Islamic Republic and the rule of Khomeini, and for the return of the Shah. And there's the lion. There's the lion. Can you believe it? Thank you, Jesus. I love it. I just love it. I love it that God gave me that little hint. It was nice of him. I had no idea. Here's Houthis doing the Nazi salute. Remember my dad prophesied the Fourth Reich? Here it is. Houthis, funded by who? Iran. They're in Yemen. This is in Dearborn, Michigan. You see, they've made a little mini Mecca in Dearborn, Michigan. That's how Muslim it is ever there now. And where did my dad prophesy 9/11 from? Dearborn, Michigan in 1996. I was there at the Gathering of the Dangerous. The Gathering of the Dangerous. Bali, do you have any images? Any graphics? Oh, we don't have any graphics? Okay, so this Tuesday, we're starting something. I can't believe. Take the X page down. I can't find the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia called the Iranian regime, the Khomeini, the new Hitler. You remember my dad prophesied the Fourth Reich. There was the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia called him the new Hitler. So that was very interesting. I have kind of a one that they sent me to approve. So here's what we're doing. This Tuesday, where is it? This Tuesday, I'm trying to see if this is in my text. No, not there. This Tuesday, we're having a live prayer meeting. The House of Destiny is. I'm going to be there. It's called the Gathering of the Dangerous. You know why? Because the event that my dad coordinated and hosted, and it was all his idea, was called the Gathering of the Dangerous. And it is from the Gathering of the Dangerous event in 1996 from Dearborn, Michigan, that he prophesied 9/11 and the coming beast of the East. Michigan, the most Islamic of all the states, I believe, and Dearborn especially. So you see how God works. He sent a prophet to the region that would be most affected. And from that region and from that territory, he prophesied over the not only 9/11, but the beast of the East. The beast of the East. This is what we're dealing with right now. The Islamists and the communists together, beasts of the East. And he was prophesying this for decades. And so we are going to be meeting 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific, this Tuesday on this network, on this channel, wherever you're watching from right now. Join us again Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central. So do the math for the time zone that you're in. It'll be 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. if you're in California or on the West Coast over there. We're going to pray. That's all we're going to do. You guys email us all the time your prayer requests, and we're praying over them. We're going to publicly pray with you. And so come with your prayer requests. And also Q&A. We'll do a little Q&A section. It's going to be me, Pastor Fa, and Christy Desfontaine, who runs our Israel Update channel. She's on analysis with me every Wednesday. It's going to be me, Christy, and Fa. And what we're going to do is we're going to start doing this every Tuesday night. We want to pray with you. We want to pray together. As a House of Destiny family, we are going to be standing together. It's called the Gathering of the Dangerous. God really put it on my heart recently that we need to be praying together, actually praying. And so I said, you know what? We're having a prayer meeting. What's a good day? We figured out the day. I asked Pastor Fa and Christy if they'd join me, and we're going to read your emails. Now, if you already know, you know, but you can send emails to hope@houseofdestiny.org. That has been the prayer request email address for years since my dad was alive. It was his setup. So that same email. So if you already send your prayer requests to hope@houseofdestiny.org, Lou, do you have that to put on the screen? Thank you, West Virginia Mountain Mama. She's going to be there. Set a reminder on her phone. You should do that too. If you're in Florida, it'll be 8 p.m. If you're in the central time zone, so Texas, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Oklahoma, Tennessee, some of Tennessee. If you're in central, it'll be 7 p.m. If you're on the West Coast, it's going to be 5 p.m., probably about an hour, and we're going to all get together and pray. And so you can send, there's the email address at the bottom of the screen. Send your prayer request in to hope@houseofdestiny.org. We're going to pull those up and start reading them. But we will also be taking prayer requests live in the chat. And then we're going to be, of course, praying for America, praying for Israel, praying for Iran, praying for Russia and Ukraine and all the countries, China, everybody in, because the people in these countries are being oppressed. In some of these countries. Oh, the Detroit, John, the Detroit Lions, of course. Bali, can you find a picture of their logo? Oh, it's all coming together. Only God could have done this. All I had to see was one lion. And look at what, oh my gosh, that's huge. Okay, so the Detroit Lions are the football team for Michigan. Dad in Dearborn, which is right by Detroit, prophesies 9/11, the beast of the east, the Iranians, the Persian people, their flag used to have the lion, and then the Islamist regime. Okay, there's the logo. Of course, yes. Detroit Lions. That is incredible. Wow, thanks, babe. Well, I'm going to come home now. There you go. There's an image. Gathering of the Dangerous. Now, the reason I made it look like this is because that is the way, that was the design for the event. It was like a week-long thing. Dad had it at a hotel conference area there in Dearborn, Michigan, and it was from there in the middle of that week. I'll never forget. I was there. I was 16 years old. The Gathering of the Dangerous. So there it is. Me, Fa, and Christy are going to be starting it out. And one thing we're also going to do is, I think once a month or once in a while, we're going to have someone join us to pray with us. So Amanda Grace will join us. Trey Smith will join us. Whoever. Dina, who was just here, she's going to be coming. Charlita, you guys know Charlita. She's going to join us sometimes. Clay Clark will come on. All the different people that we've met over the years at different times will come and join us for this prayer meeting too. And so that's why we decided to also have a Q&A, because if we do have a guest, you might have a special question. And because you're a member of the House of Destiny, because you're part of our prayer group, you will be prioritized with your questions. And you might get to ask a question directly of whoever our guest will be. So this is what God put on my heart to do. And we are beginning it this Tuesday. Don't miss it. I think that's it. Where you're watching now. Yeah, wherever you are watching right now is where it will be. So if you're watching on Rumble, we'll be live on Rumble, just like we are right now, Same exact thing. So just come back here, but it's going to be, you won't see Code Breakers as the title. You'll see the Gathering of the Dangerous. And so that is because we are prophetic warriors and we're getting together to pray prophetically. It's not just regular prayer. We're praying prophetically. We're praying into the promises God has given us for those who need that prayer and strength right now, and for one another too, because it's been difficult on all of us too. And we need to be supporting one another in prayer. And I really feel strongly that this is the time for that. So here we go. We're in the middle of this war. There's the spiritual and the physical and all of that that's happening, but God is with us and he is guiding us. And the prophetic is a very important a part of all of that, and discernment and finding our way. And so we're going to be doing it together. So thank you to everybody who joined me today. If you are giving an offering, or if you did give an offering and you want the Daily Light, you see it there. You can just scan that QR code. We will send you one of those for a donation or an offering of any amount. Also, we have the other one, $25 or more. That's our newer release. Oh, look at the lion on that. That my dad made that crest years ago. We put it on the book. I just realized that's also a lion. So there it is, just again and again. Confirmation. But anyway, you might want to get that. So if you give us an offering, or if you want to support us, and you can give $25, make sure you scan the QR code or go to the website and click the banner so that we know to send that to you. And also we have the Prophecy Vault Partnership. If you'd like to partner with us and support us on a more regular basis, we are seeing the fruit of this. Every Monday on Prophetic Rewind, you are seeing way old lost footage of my dad that we didn't have before, that we have now because of you. Because you partnered with us, we've been able to fund digitizing the decades of footage we had of him that we did not have in a format that we were able to share with you online. Now we do. And so people have been so blessed by Prophetic Rewind over the years, but really now, because you can go back, I think we're still in 1997. So it was just a year after he'd prophesied 9/11. 9/11 had not happened yet. And he was traveling and ministering at different churches. And so we're just going in date order now. And that is thanks to you, Prophecy Vault partners. We love you guys. We so appreciate your support. It's $7 a month. If you can do it, I really encourage you. There is so much back there. We have an enhanced prophecy database with video and links to the original broadcast and everything in there, as well as the School of the Prophets is in there, and teachings, and so much. So it's really worth it. And we made sure it wouldn't be too expensive. It was something that everybody could feasibly do. And so if you would like to do that, we so appreciate your support. Join us together in the building of my dad's legacy into something beautiful we can look back at one day. And you are a part of that. So I thank you so much again, everybody, for joining me. I am going to go. We've gone for 2 hours now. It's been a long one today, but so much going on. What are we going to do? So thank you, everybody, for spending time with me again here after your church on a Sunday, coming over here and having a little prophetic time. It's just lovely. And I will drink enough water. Everybody's telling me that. My mom especially. I was lectured on not drinking too much green tea and drinking more water. And so that is a problem for me. I don't drink enough water. So working on that. Thank you for reminding me. You guys are the best. We're a family here. That's why. So, okay, guys, I better go. I'm going to go hang out with my husband now. It's Father's Day, and we are going to have dinner, and we're going to give him a present. And so thank you again for joining me. Thanks to Lance Wallnau for joining me today. That was awesome. And I will see you next week. What's new at the House of Destiny Network?
Let me tell you something. The wind of God is not moving across America because God suddenly decided, I think I'm going to breathe on America. The wind of God is not blowing upon America right now because somebody prayed and thanked God for their prayers. The wind of God is moving on America because prophets are prophesying to the wind, go into the bones and bring them bones to life. Hallelujah.
I think so often a lie was sold, probably unknowingly, unintentionally by the church, whether it was in the 70s, 80s, 90s, that if you do everything right, you're going to get everything you want.
He saw the triangle. He saw the color.
Yes.
He saw the terrorist organization. And if you look at the prophecies, Christy, you'll see that he was seeing the joining of hands. We're going to get to that in a minute again, of Russia and Iran, but then also China's involvement. So there's your triangle.
Yes.
And if you see how that triangle was shaped as well, it was flat and then down, not the other way around. Not like a pyramid. And you remember when he prophesied it the first time, he thought he was seeing a diamond, then he said, no, triangle.
What's going on? You know, obviously when Biden got back into the Iran nuclear deal, that we all just went, what in the heck is going on here? It funneled billions of dollars back into the Iranian regime. But just think for a moment about the fact that all these years ago, Kim was shouting to a moment that we just have seen the fulfillment of now, where he was saying, Bibi Netanyahu, what you have planned, do it and do it quickly. Now, again, please remember, we're not speaking about the group of Iranian people. There are beautiful people in Iran. We are talking about the leadership whose theocratic, eschatological viewpoint and desires to see the obliteration of Jews and Christians that come against everything that Christ is. This is the group of people that we're talking about.
You are a human being that needs bread, you need business, you need relationship, you need so many things. And the way that God is going to do this for you, I said right now, is speak life. We speak life. We speak favor. We speak the miraculous. Faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God.
Hello, friends. I'm Donna Clement Petrushka, and I am honored to invite you to something truly extraordinary, the Kim Clement Prophecy Vault. Now you can gain unprecedented access to my father's entire digitized video archive. Every prophetic moment, every powerful teaching, every anointed worship session is now available to you in the Prophecy Vault. We've also enhanced the prophecy database, meticulously updating it with new video content and profound insights. Plus, I'm excited to share that my dad's special School of the Prophets teachings are included, offering you deep, transformative lessons on hearing God's voice and understanding his revelations. As part of your membership, you'll also gain access to my prophecy blog, where I break down and analyze my father's prophecies, connecting them to current events. This blog will provide you with exclusive insights and a deeper understanding of how God's word is unfolding right now. And we're offering something truly special: exclusive analysis sessions available only to members of the Prophecy Vault. These sessions will go beyond the surface, providing in-depth exploration of specific prophecies and their implications for today and the future. Your partnership is crucial. Not only will you gain access to these incredible resources, but you'll also help us continue the vital work of preserving, digitizing, and adding new Kim Clement material to the archives. So, I'm inviting you to step into the Kim Clement Prophecy Vault. Let's embark on this journey of revelation together, and I can't wait to see you inside.